So when quarantine first started, I was like, you know what? This is gonna be a piece of cake. I was on the ship then and we were doing sailings to the Cayman and back to the United States, and it was a busy itinerary. So just to let you know that this is my third quarantine and this is the 12th day, and a few people have approached me on Facebook, Instagram, wanting to know how I've been able to cope. And on this video, I'm going to share with you a few tips of how I've been able to cope with this quarantine. So are you ready? Hey guys, welcome back. So if you're new here, my name is Boni and welcome to this channel where I share everything about travel, cruise updates, the best things to do in the ports of call, and so much more. And to my returning subscribers, I want to thank you for your comments, for your feedbacks, and the love that you've shown on this channel. May God bless you. I'm so happy to say that I'm finally back to work and I'm currently in quarantine on the Ovation of the Seas. And so this is not really my first quarantine because I have done like 2 more other quarantines. So in my first quarantine, it was a lot harder than I thought it would be, especially in the beginning. My sleep schedule went to crap. I stopped showering right when I woke up. Well, because I didn't really have anywhere to go. I tried to learn a new hobby like being a DJ, but that didn't work as well. So I think part of the reason why this quarantine is a little bit different is because I guess I have been into so many quarantines that I've already coped into being in quarantine. Well, I think I have learned a lot. So the first quarantine, it was when the ship stopped cruising and we had to quarantine. That is before going back home. And then on getting home, I did another 14 days in a hotel as per the local COVID protocols. So I had to finish 14 days before actually getting to go home. And so being able to stay calm and not anxious during such a global pandemic, I think is quite important. So today I wanted to share with you guys some tips that have really helped me cope with this quarantine situation. But first, I just want to kind of make a little disclaimer that no matter the situation that you're going through right now, no matter how productive or unproductive you feel, it's okay. Myself, I haven't been the most productive. So my first tip is just take one day at a time. Every day has been so different for me. Some days I wake up feeling super productive and feeling on top of my shirt, and I'm gonna get some stuff done today. But some days I wake up feeling a little anxious and I don't feel like I can get anything done, and my head is very scattered. And both of those are okay. So you just have to take a day by day and deal with what's going on that day. Thankfully though, over the past week and a bit, I've really started to ramp up the productivity. I'm starting to feel like more optimistic, like myself again. And I'm also getting over that homesickness, and I'm kind of getting used to the whole quarantine thing again. On taking it one day at a time, the morning is the key. One thing I've noticed, especially during this quarantine, is that your morning shapes the entire rest of your day. In normal society, well, out there before the pandemic, people usually wake up, they shower, they get dressed, or even grab a coffee because they have to be somewhere. They get out of the door to go to work, to go to school, and that kinds of the reason of taking their morning seriously. But during the quarantine, it's sort of hard to switch into that active mode because you're kind of just staying indoors. And even if you're working from home or trying to work from indoors, most people don't see the necessity to treating working from indoors or working from home the same as they would when you're leaving to go to work. But it's extremely important to do so. Whenever you shower and you get dressed, you kind of flip a switch in your brain that says, hey, I'm in work mode or I'm in school mode right now, or at least I'm ready to start the day. And if you wait to shower, let's say you wait till later in the day to get dressed, or you even never get dressed, you're either postponing flipping the switch or not flipping the switch altogether. For me, flipping the switch comes down to the very simple decision that I have to make when I first wake up. So find out what your little decision it is that you have to make every single morning and flip that switch as early as possible. So the second tip, which has been super helpful for me and kind of something that I've been focusing on a lot, is meditating. When meditating stuff, that to me is very productive. I track my meditation to just like hold myself accountable and it also helps me understand why, or the reason why I'm here. I have taken advantage of this quarantine time to meditate about the things in my life that I need to do or to adjust. And I know that we all have learned a lesson or two during this pandemic. Myself, I have learned that things can change, and not only change, but change very fast. What you knew yesterday, you might wake up the next morning and it's totally different from what you knew. So during the first time when this pandemic started, there was a lot of things happening in the media. There was so much information, so much negative energy with every news that was coming out. And I agree that nobody knew much about what was happening, or nobody knew much about this virus. So instead of listening to all those wrong information that were going around, and you know that sometimes internet or media can cause you to get anxiety. So myself, I decided to switch off from all that and just meditate and think about my present day that I was in. This quarantine aloneness or this boredom is extremely important because it helps you to uncover things which you need to address about yourself, things that you need to change about your life, or things that you need to learn about how to move forward. So you're going to have a lot of time during any quarantine just to sit alone with your thoughts and try to figure out what's the most important thing in your life that you can do, or that you have achieved, or that you need to achieve. So don't distract yourself from this feeling. And it's normal to feel lonely. It's normal to feel boredom. It's because you're a human being, and that's okay. So enjoy this moment. If you're in quarantine, if you're watching this from in quarantine, to reflect, to meditate about yourself, to meditate about your life. And the third tip that I'm going to share is try to learn a new productive hobby. On my first quarantine, I was itching to find something to do with my free time, something to work on or to work towards. And actually, that's when I thought of starting this channel. And you know that quarantine boredom created sort of like this itch to do something, you know. Instead of just having your time filled out for you via social media, try to start a new hobby. But starting a new hobby can be a challenge, as it can be very easy to quit or something that you've already started. Myself, first I tried to be a DJ, then that didn't work because I tried something that was too much for me. But have you ever had this motivation to start something, then along the line you lose that motivation? Or like, have you ever been into this situation when you felt you're in a little bit of a rut? You're not really taking care of yourself. You're just generally kind of slothful. You've lost your motivation to be productive, and for a long enough period of time until you realize, or until you reach that breaking point when you're like, wow, I think I feel like I'm a piece of crap. And you start to say, hey, I'm going to make massive changes. Hey, I'm going to take massive action about my life, or I'm going to make massive action about something that I need to do. So you quickly do a little 360. Well, not 360, because if you did a 360, you will be still going on the same way. So you do a 180 and you start going the other direction. And you start being super productive, almost unnaturally productive. And you're starting to hit the gym. You're moisturizing your face. Even though you never did that before. You're clipping your nails, you're getting your work done on time, you're just insanely productive. And you're starting to feel really good about yourself. But you have a feeling in the back of your mind that, it's unsustainable. And you eventually push yourself so hard that you get burnt out. You lose all of your energy, so you lose your motivation and you start going back the other direction. And the cycle repeats itself. So if you've ever succumbed to such a situation, I'd imagine you're a human being. If you have ever tried something new and you lose motivation, then first of all, I think you didn't do the productive thing long enough for them to be locked in as a habit. And the word habit kind of lost its meaning. But I mean, something that is easier to do than it is not to do. Because once something is a habit, you don't really have to worry about quitting as much, because it's kind of locked in psychologically. The second reason why we quit from doing something is because the habit that we try to adopt into our new lifestyle sometimes is so extreme. Yeah, you're trying to bite more than what we can chew, basically. So it's really important to pick one or two easy things that are simple to do, that you can actually count on yourself to achieve daily. And you lock these things in a simple daily habit until they are easier to do. than not to do. That way you won't get burnt out. You won't worry about quitting because they will become a habit. The fourth tip is to keep in touch with someone, like FaceTiming or video chat someone every day, especially if you're in quarantine alone. If you spend the whole day without speaking to someone, it's kind of really strange. So just make sure that you're in contact with someone and you're getting that face-to-face talk and talking to them. And kind of, it really helps. Talking to someone, it could be literally your mom, your dad, any family member, whoever. Just make sure that you're in not alone all the time. That could be really difficult. Imagine staying indoors, you're in the couch all day and all night. It's kind of difficult. Myself, I keep in touch with my family on a daily basis and I update them and tell them, hey, this is what's happening. I'm still stuck in quarantine, but I still have 2 more days and stuff. And that way, it's better to connect with anybody. Try to talk to somebody. The fifth tip I will say is try to do some physical activity. So the quarantine can be really boring, especially if you're spending all day, every single day inside. It can be kind of a bummer and you start to run out of stuff pretty quickly. I would say try to get some sort of physical activity so you're not just sitting on the couch or on the bed all day, all night, every day for 14 days. So try to get an activity. It could be physical exercise. Yeah, try to do something physical. Try to do something physical that you will get your energy up, that you will get your body moving, something physical, something that you might like. In conclusion, guys, I would say use quarantine to your advantage. It's very easy to take on a victim role. There's compelling reason to play the victim, especially during a pandemic, because you can't really do anything about it. It feels out of control and it's scary. There's tons of reasons for you to fall into that feeling of being helpless or confused or lose your way in some form. But it's a lot harder, but probably I would say it's a lot more advantageous to view it as an opportunity because the nature of being indoors 24/7 unwillingly actually has a huge advantage. And that's because you have a tremendous amount of time and you have a tremendous amount of predictability with what your day looks like. If every day feels like Groundhog Day, then that's the perfect opportunity. It is the fertile soil for developing good habits. A lot of people can't start healthy habits during a regular life because things that pop up in your life, maybe you have to go away for work or your cousin has a housewarming party that you should have to attend and you have to skip the gym. There's all these little things that regular life throws at you. But quarantine life is a lot more boring, a lot more monotonous, but a lot more predictable. So this is probably the best opportunity in your life to lock in habits that you can take into your normal life once all this is over. And if you're someone who generally struggles to implement good habits, or if you're somebody who has tried to meditate for a day or two, and then it kind of falls off, or you try to develop a habit, maybe working out for physical health, and then that kind of also falls off, then I'm actually going to recommend a book that I've been reading. And I think it's the most important book you can read at a time like this, and that is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I'm reading it myself and I'm uncovering so many things that are somehow I missed before, and it's making me realize that it's one of those books that you should read several times. And I highly recommend checking out the audiobook version, and it's really because the audio version is narrated by the author himself. So his personal anecdote that he wrote about the book really hit home and feels more personal. So not only does Audibles have the largest selection of audiobooks on the entire internet, but every single month they send you 1 credit which you can spend on any audiobook in the entire library. And one of the best things about Audible is that if you decide to cancel your subscription at any point, you will keep your entire library of books, including the books that you got for free using their credit system. So make sure to click the link in the description below, give it a follow, and it will be a fun time. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button, because I'll tell you something. When you hit the like button, the algorithm does fancy things and my face ends up in people's homepages, which is quite important for the growth of this channel. And maybe during the quarantine, this video can help people get through the quarantine situation. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody. And if you're here and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any future videos. And also, let me know in the comment section below your experience of how you're coping in this pandemic, and that way we learn from each other. And that's all for me now. Until the next video, take good care of yourself and keep safe. Boni out.